am so excited to be sitting with the pastor and the co-pastor of Blow Your Trumpet Ministries. We have before us Pastor Marcus Mickles, co-pastor Madelyn Mickles, and we have some questions to ask them. This is our love month, and so we felt that it was needed to sit down and have an interview with our leaders. They're married and they're in love. So let's start right here. Two openers. When and where did you all meet?
Church. It was during a play. Madelyn was in the church we both attended in East St. Louis. And as we were there, she came out of the play. I think it was at the end of the play, and she had on this red dress. Wow. And when she had on this red dress, and Madelyn has always been a petite lady, but she had booty. But she had it was extremely detailed, and in that, I looked at her and said that if you wear that dress again, I'm going to make you my wife. And she said, I'll marry you too, prophet. Wow. And when she said that, I could not get that voice out of my head. My spiritual mother, beloved, who is gone on to be with the Lord prayerfully, said, are you sure? That ain't your wife. That ain't your loose it. That ain't your wife. That's just in your mind. But and it just started from there. So it started at church, from her being in a play, that she seductively seduced me with the red dress. There we got it.
Co-pastor, do you feel like you seductively seduced Pastor Mickles?
Not at all. I don't believe that I did that.
Okay.
No. If it
Wow.
was, that was up to him. I'm in a whole play, not even looking at him.
So what did you think when you saw him?
Oh, when he said that to me, well, my response was, because he came out the sky blue to say that, and for him, I was very surprised by it. So I honestly thought he was joking, and then I ended up saying, "I'll marry you too, prophet," like that. Now, how he took that, he ran with it, and so I thought no more of it.
Okay.
But I have that power to have everlasting thoughts.
So your thought was, if she wears this again, she's my wife.
I just really said that because,
Okay. So what were your thoughts? Like outside of that space of
I told you she had that booty. But because I've always been a legs, thighs, butt man, that's what initially just made me comment and say something to her. And coupled with her hair was done, she had makeup on, and because I'm a church baby per se, my game is not like a thug or I ain't have no line. So that was really my pickup line.
That was the pickup line.
To give me the opportunity, but her response took me by surprise, because I had told my mom I had been dating before that I was not going to date anybody else. I was not going to waste my time with anybody that I didn't think was wife qualities. Now, we had never been out before, but that was certainly the entry to a relationship.
Okay. Look at us now, 19 years later.
Wow.
19 years later.
Yeah.
Obviously, you wouldn't feel the same way that you felt then. How has those feelings progressed?
19 years later, a lot of days, a lot of nights, a lot of months. I think that as both of us have matured, as we've gotten older, we've learned one another, learned how to communicate without communicating. There were many opportunities that we could have done things differently and better. But coming up, we didn't have any molds, prototypes, people that poured into us. There was no premarital counseling because people already had, for me, they had already chosen who they thought I should be with. I married her at 22, extremely young, only child. So then we started a church a year later, a few days short of a year. We had a son 10 months in. So when we already had our daughter that she was here. So, there was a lot of dynamics that if you would played against us, but we progressed because we progressed through everything that people said, considering her background and where she's come from. People prognosticated that we wouldn't last 6 months.
Wow.
They won't be together in 30 days. I give it 30 days. So a lot of us stand together, I think, too, was for the passivity of the people, because the determination to make sure that they lied, that their prophecy was a lie. Then having started the church, both of us come from wholesome families, knowing that the pastor and the wife is supposed to be together, even if that was not ideal for us. We stayed together for the imagery of the people, without finding the necessary help at all times to cope with situations that happen.
I like that response. What about you, co-pastor?
I agree with what he said. In maturity, we had to literally learn each other.
Okay.
That was a little hard because him being the only child, me having a lot of siblings around, I somewhat was very to myself, so I can have the only child syndrome at times. But coming from him, he's a male, and when he wanted something done, he wanted it done, and then it was that and along. So I'll say, yeah, I agree with him a lot. It had to take us learning each other in the places in the time.
That's good. I actually like both of you all's response. The learning each other, even 19 years later. I think that is something that is needed in relationships, in marriages, in couples, whether you're courting, engaged, and married. Learning each other, that's a good tool piece. The truth is, the year that we live in now isn't the same 19 years ago. And unfortunately, some think is good, some think is bad, but the culture that we're in right now, they measure the strength of love by 5 languages. So you have the language of quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and receiving gifts. What would you all say would be the one that you do good and the one that you both would have to work on?
Can you name the 5 again?
Yeah, it's quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts.
I would say back in our beginning, I would probably need more of your time.
Okay.
Now I'm in a different place. So, and I've learned my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he can, because at this point I don't want to stress him out. So whatever he can offer is what I will receive without being selfish of who he is to the body of Christ and to people now. Now, you couldn't tell me that back then. I would want all of his time because I felt like everybody had him and I didn't get a chance to have that quality time. Quality time would have been the first one.
Okay.
Not even his touch. But his time was necessary for me.
So what would you think that you do good now, and what do you think you would have to work on?
He would probably say my mouth.
Out of those 5.
Oh,
yeah, out of those.
I'm sorry.
You good.
I don't even know. Oh.
Perhaps he needs to give you some descriptors of those.
Yeah.
So for quality time, we have, it refers to spending meaningful time, which you already have spoke of. Physical touch, that's self-explanatory. Cuddling, hugs, kissing, holding hands. Words of affirmation is just encouragement, compliments, verbal expressions of love. Acts of service is just, stepping up where you see that they're not necessarily stepping up.
It would be more stepping up more.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
I have taken back, but I believe more now because he's about to make another step in life.
Right.
So stepping up will probably be.
Okay. What about you, Pastor?
What's the question?
Wow. Out of the 5 love languages,
Okay.
what is the 1, 2, 3, 4, or all 5 that you think that you do good or that you feel that you need to work on?
I think that acts of service, I do well. And I think that quality time, I need to do better. Being more intentional with scheduling
Okay.
time with her. Out of all that I do, all that I have going on, and all that I even will have going on, of making sure that we spend some level of time together alone, even if it's not, for an infinite amount of time. But etching out, I think I need to be intentional about day parts. But I still work a 45 plus hour a week job. Still, I'm pastoring a church, got an itinerant ministry, now have a organization that I'm structuring and putting together. So there's a lot that's going on, but I think that's an area that I need to improve upon and be more intentional.
That's good.
Now, what she can do for me is that what? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that what you're going to ask?
We can go there because we're gonna trouble the waters a little bit.
Yeah,
but we can go there now if you want to.
Not too much, and then you'll see.
We can go there.
I think for her acts of service towards me would be better. She could do better. I don't require her to wash my clothes or any of that. But as far as food, dinner, just
Which
random.
I have been doing good. Oh, it's gonna last.
2-3 times out of 19 years.
Yeah, I was doing better.
Yeah. This new year, I'll have to. You did cook a couple of times, but I just think as far as offering assistance where she can.
Okay.
And I think for any man, I think feeling like your priority, regardless of whatever you have going on and whatever other commitments you have, making sure that your husband feels like they're number one. And I think that so when we talk about acts of service, for sure is one.
Okay.
Random
what about you?
acts of kindness.
Mm-hmm. What about you, co-pastor?
Read the question.
No, I thought I answered that the first time. Right?
What do you? I think you. Yeah, you kind of did. You did already.
Yeah.
I mean, you free to add to it because we're gonna go there in a minute. So if you want to add to anything,
I'm getting hot already.
That's fine.
Go there. Go there.
No, because the five love language at this point in my life,
mm-hmm.
I don't see that it's a necessary.
It's not a necessity.
Yeah.
Got you.
It's not. Again, because life is changing for all of us, and we don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. So I just want to be. I do know that I have to be in a better place for what God has for the both of us.
That's good.
And for his ministry and for mine as well. It's all about how to balance it where I respect him and my husband respects me. And that we're not being to and fro from one thing and missing the moment as I believe we have in the past. Because we really just learning each other right now.
Wow. That's good. So I think we're gonna take a turn. So Pastor, you aren't quiet, you aren't still about your testimony as it pertains to BM before marriage, with you all being together, traveling on the road.
What's BM?
Before marriage. That's BM. That's my abbreviation for like before Christ.
Gotcha.
BC.
Okay.
Yeah. So before marriage, you all obviously were dating. You all were obviously together in love, traveling the world together. What was going on? Were you all sustaining, or were you all very touchy-feely?